According to the National Traffic Safety Administration, in 2008, motor vehicle crashes were the leading cause of death for ages 8 through 34. Recently, a close family member of mine was in a very serious car accident, and although he survived the car accident, the individual in the other car did not. The individual in the other car was not wearing a seatbelt and was ejected from the vehicle. I've discussed this topic with many family members and coworkers, as well as doing research on the topic, so I feel like I'm very aware of this problem. Now that you're aware of the topic that I'd like to discuss with you today, let's begin by covering why this is such an important topic to discuss. Seatbelts can greatly improve the chances of survival in an accident. However, many people still don't wear a seatbelt. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, in 2008, motor vehicle crashes were in the top 10 leading causes of death. And just some other really alarming statistics that I found during my research were that in 2008, motor vehicle crashes were the leading cause of death for ages 8 through 34. In 2009, motor vehicle crashes killed over 33,000 people, and over half of those individuals weren't wearing a seatbelt at the time of the crash. And according to the CDC, 1 in 7 people still do not wear a seatbelt. Another reason for serious injury or death in motor vehicle accidents is not only people not wearing a seatbelt, but people not wearing an appropriate seatbelt or wearing the seatbelt appropriately. So if you are unsure about seatbelts or what seatbelts should be used, especially for children, please make sure and check with the Department of Transportation, or there's a lot of helpful information that can just be found on the internet. Just do a little bit of research if you're not aware of those recommendations. No one is exempt from this discussion. Every person that participated in this discussion has either been in a serious car accident or knows someone that has. And even the safest drivers can't prevent accidents caused by other individuals. So the need for a seatbelt could happen at any time. Therefore, the knowledge of the importance of wearing a seatbelt is important to all of us. With such a high number of deaths and injuries, people need to be more aware of this problem and to take an active role in the solution. So now let's discuss the possible solutions for this problem. There are several solutions that have been set in place to try and help solve this problem. Some states have passed laws requiring individuals to wear seatbelts. However, many of these states have seatbelt violations as a secondary violation, which means that a police officer is not able to pull someone over specifically for not wearing a seatbelt. They have to pull someone over for another reason, such as speeding or failure to stop at a stop sign, something like that, and then also issue a citation for not wearing a seatbelt after they've been pulled over for something else. This is called a primary or secondary seatbelt law. A primary seatbelt law would be where a police officer would be able to pull someone over specifically for not wearing a seatbelt. There are many ways to improve seatbelt use. I think that seatbelt use should be enforced legally, and I believe that it should be a primary offense, a primary violation, where they can be pulled over for just not wearing a seatbelt. Statistics have shown that the states that have primary enforced seatbelt laws have a much higher rate of seatbelt usage. I also feel that the fines for seatbelt violations aren't high enough, and so many people don't pay attention to the law. If I was to get a $5 or $10 fine, I'm not going to care as much as if the fine was going to be $100. I'm more likely to pay attention to a law if it has a serious consequence, like a higher fine. States with primary enforcement seatbelt laws have increased seatbelt usage significantly, as I said before. States with primary enforcement laws have a 9% higher seatbelt use rate, and it is also estimated by increasing the fines from $5 to $100, seatbelt usage would increase by more than 10%. So I know that 9% doesn't seem like a lot, but when you think about how many lives could be saved from that 9% increase, it's a huge amount of people. And if the 19 states that still lack primary seatbelt law enforcement adopted these laws, then seatbelt usage would be significantly higher. And as a result, it would save many lives. Many people that don't wear a seatbelt have reasons for why they don't. A few of the main reasons, let's talk about those. The first reason was that people are in a hurry, so they just don't think to put the seatbelt on. They just don't put the seatbelt on because they're in a hurry. They're just going right down the street. It will be okay. People state that when they're in a rush, they just forget to put it on. After considering this reason, I decided that the best way to make an effect is to prove to someone how much longer it takes to actually put the seatbelt on. So I did my own little experiment, and with putting on a seatbelt, and my experiment revealed that it only takes less than 5 seconds to put the seatbelt on. So the reason of just being in a hurry, not having time to put on the seatbelt, is not really a very good reason. The second reason that a lot of people stated was that the seatbelts are uncomfortable. And although I can agree that the seatbelts aren't always comfortable, the injuries that can occur in an accident, the injuries that you can get in an accident can cause a lot more discomfort than the seatbelt can. I know that when you're traveling, you kind of want to kick up your legs and get comfortable, and the seatbelt kind of prevents you from doing that. But just think about how uncomfortable you would be if you were in a body cast from some serious injuries that you received in the car accident. Now that we've covered some of the common reasons for not wearing a seatbelt, let's look at the effects that it can cause when you're not wearing them. Say that you're in a hurry to leave your house, and instead of taking the few extra seconds to put on your daughter's seatbelt, you just say, "Oh, it's only down the road. It will be fine. We're in a hurry. Let's just hurry and jump in the car. It's just right down the road." And what if in that 2-block drive, you're struck by a driver that wasn't focused on the road, and your little girl was ejected from the vehicle and was seriously injured or even killed? Would you ever forgive yourself for not taking the time to possibly prevent her from being injured or even killed? Or if you say, some people put their kids in a car seat or in a seatbelt, but not themselves. And I don't understand why this is. Because can you imagine if your spouse and yourself were in a car accident and your children had to be put into a foster care system or something like this because both of their parents were killed in a car accident. And it was a car accident that a seatbelt could have possibly prevented a family from being torn apart. So not only is it important to put your children in a seatbelt, but it's important to think about, where would my children be without their parents? So take care of yourself too, not just your children. If you also take the scenario from above with the little girl, and say that you did stop and take a few extra seconds to put on her seatbelt, and after the accident she was safe and in your arms and she was giggling and happy, just think about how grateful that you would be if that you just took that few extra seconds to make sure that your child was safe. So to summarize the topic for today, I would just like each of you to take an active role in improving the statistics. Seatbelts protect people from needless death and injury. Wearing a seatbelt can increase your chance of survival in an accident by 50%. So just wear your seatbelt every time that you get into a vehicle. Make it a habit. Require others that are in your vehicle to wear a seatbelt when they're with you. And please just make sure to pass along this message. It's a very important message, and it can and will save lives. Thank you.